Much has transpired since the last time we talked, and so I figured I would have a long, rambly vlog because it's been a while since I've done one of those, and it is high time. So strap in. We're going to talk about van plans, mental health, family, the general state of the world, Reiki, all sorts of stuff. And yeah, I guess the place to start would be with Reiki. And I don't remember if I posted a vlog about this on the main channel, but I posted another one on my second vlog channel, which I'm probably going to be shutting down, by the way. I've been posting some of my vlogs on the main channel just because, like, I'm really tired of managing two channels, you know? And I like my vlog content, and people seem to like it too, so I think I'm just going to, like, merge those two things. But anyways, a few months ago, I was really struggling when I was saving up for the van, which we're in now, Morpheus. And so I decided to try Reiki for the first time. It's kind of like energy healing, and the person I went to in particular did all these different things. She had like scents and just like touch and music and just like sounds, and it was really interesting. It was like therapy on steroids, essentially. And I hadn't been to therapy for I don't know, at least a year because it just kind of like burned out on it. I wasn't really accomplishing anything, and so I just want to try something new. So I was doing that for a few months, and the goal was kind of like to build up like a mental, emotional van before, so that I could get the motivation to get the actual van, to make it like that extra mile. And I accomplished that, I feel like it kind of got me on a level plane emotionally, which is where I needed to be to get to the final finish line. But then I remember the day that I got the van and then I actually drove it to Reiki. And I showed up. I was kind of like in this weird headspace where I didn't really know what to do with like Reiki anymore because I had accomplished the thing that I had set out, and I probably should have thought at that point it's like it's time for me to just like wrap it up. But I was still thinking about like, oh, what other issues should I address? And this is a mistake because I've done this before with therapy, where you like go too long and then you kind of like talk yourself back into depression. So anyways, I go in and I don't say anything. I just like sit there and I'm sort of like smiling and like just like waiting because I had this image in my mind that it would create like an interesting experience. Like if I made my practitioner guess what happened because we've been talking about the van and whatever. So I just thought it would be funny. I thought it would create like a little tension, maybe just a spark of something interesting. But what actually happened is that my practitioner got like kind of really unnerved by me doing that. It was, she was like, are you okay? Like, what is going on? And in retrospect, I'm like, oh, fuck. Sometimes I do like really asocial things. And in retrospect, I realize that they're like weird, but anyways, I don't know. It wasn't what I expected, how that I expected the interaction to go, but it was fine. I was like, "Oh, I got the van." She's like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." And then we went into the other room and did the Reiki thing where I like lay down and she does all sorts of things, playing the sound of waves and different smells and visualization exercises, all that stuff. It was good. I had this really beautiful. She was playing the sound of waves going, which she often does, and I really love the ocean, so it works for me. And but I had been feeling a lot of disconnection between me and my family and friends, and just for like various reasons. So I pictured like another thing she has me do, which is common in energy work, is just like focusing on your breathing. So like really deep breaths in and slow breaths out. And so I was hearing the waves and I was picturing this wave at the ocean that kind of like washed up under the shore. But then not only did it wash up under the shore, but then it washed like over the beach, and then it washed like all the way back from the beach back to Rochester, New York, um, where my house is. And then it's sort of like I was picturing all these relationships that I had with people that were really strained, and the sort of like energy of the ocean kind of like lapping into the kitchen, like standing in the kitchen with my dad, or with my mom or friends or whatever, and sort of like how you have these gaps between people, like when you're trying to connect with someone and you just can't, and like words just aren't enough for whatever reason. And so I was feeling this like really beautiful, like silent energy of like what I couldn't say sort of like lapping up, onto the other person. So it was really cool. And when we went back out of the room and went back into the other room where you do kind of like the talk therapy, more traditional type of thing, it's sort of like a 10 minutes of talk, like half an hour of Reiki, and then another 10 minutes of talk to like wrap things up, which I think is cool. It worked really well for me. But anyways, we go back into the room and like I apparently didn't learn anything from the first interaction because I tried to do the silent thing again. And I was just like, it was just like this. I guess, which is really, I don't know, maybe it's really weird, but I I always like the feeling of like being silent and trying to guess what someone else is thinking, because it creates tension. It is a little bit awkward, but like I just thought having already done this, it wouldn't be a problem, but it was a problem. And again, she was just like really unnerved, and I don't, you can never really fully know what someone else is experiencing, but in that moment, I felt like she was afraid of me or something. And it was, it was like, it felt like something broke in that moment for a variety of reasons. And initially I thought it was like disturbing to me because I thought she was genuinely like afraid of me, and I thought we had built up more rapport to the point where she would know that I was just like messing around, and just doing something because I thought it was interesting creatively. But anyways, so I left and like things were fine, seemingly, but then I got out in the parking lot and I'm just like thinking this over and over in my head in a moment. I'm like, oh my God, I've like ruined this, safe space or whatever she created, and I'm like, why would I do that? What is wrong with me? And yeah, it kind of like tumbled around in my head for a few days, but eventually I sort of came back to this realization, or I came to the realization that it was just like it was time to quit Reiki. Just like I had quit therapy before, and a lot of times I had gone over longer than I had, and then like I said, you just end up talking yourself back into depression. And it's not that I ran out of things to like talk about. I mean, there's so many fucked up things in the world that that I could talk about in therapy, but at a certain point, I think like once you solve a major problem like that, it's like better for you to just kind of like take a step back and just work on like practical everyday stuff as opposed to just talking about the same emotional problems over and over and over again until, yeah, so I don't know. Anyways, I feel like I kind of carpet bombed that relationship. I tried to like send her an email, my practitioner afterwards, and I feel like I just made things worse because I tried to explain how like I was really grateful for us like getting to this really cool goal, and then but like the whole thing of like not wanting to talk myself back into depression, but it just sounded like, well, like we accomplished the mission accomplished, so now there's end of relationship. But the other thing that I realized is like, which I've realized before, is that I think there's like a limit to how much you can accomplish in therapy, even if it's a really interesting type of therapy like Reiki or energy work, because at the end of the day, like practitioners, it's sort of like talking to someone behind a one-sided mirror, like where they can see you, but you can't see them. And you can't really see into their life or get really any sense of like what they actually believe. Like so often I'll be talking about something about my beliefs or my frustration about something in the world, and you just don't know what like the therapist or the energy worker or whoever is actually thinking about those things. Like they'll just give you kind of like a generic statement with positive reinforcement. And I feel like with the energy worker that I was working with, it was like more honest than with the therapist that I worked before. And then the therapist that I worked with before was also more honest than the therapist that I'd worked with before that, the first therapist that I ever worked with. But still, it just feels like there's like this limitation, and I get the point of that, like it's potentially dangerous and problematic for clients and practitioners to develop too like interpersonal of a relationship, because then there can be attachment problems and, whatever else. But at the same time, I think when there's a lack of that in any kind of human relationship, when it feels like something is operating at a certain level and it can't really go past that level, it's like you can't really accomplish anything else. Like if one person is sharing a lot and the other person is only sharing a tiny amount, then like it's sort of limited. Like it's what's the it's like you're the weakest link in the chain or something. I don't know, something like that. Or the slowest Boy Scout in the in the Boy Scout chain, something like that. But you know what I'm talking about. So, anyways, it was sad, but I accomplished what I wanted to, and there's a really cool moment where my practitioner was like, "Oh, like you parked here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so we look out the window, and like there's the van, like this physical manifestation of this thing that we worked on together. So even though I sort of crash landed the end of that relationship, or at least for the present moment, yeah, it was still really cool. It was a great experience. I definitely recommend Reiki as an alternative to traditional therapy, especially for like, a short amount of time. If you're going for a few months, I feel like it can be really helpful. And then after that, you can start getting into like just doing the same things and talking about the same things over and over again, which is usually a sign that you need to do something else for a while. But anyways, so that's Reiki, but there are other things that have happened. One of which is that this morning I picked up the palette, which contains my windows. Let's see if we can see it. Yeah, there you can see it. And oh yeah. Speaking of which, my mom just got home, and this is like a whole thing which you may have seen in one of my other vlogs. Um, Essentially, like my mom gave me $15,000. I put in $5,000 for the deposit in the van, and she was trying to help me like bring the payments down because I'm still paying like over $600 a month plus insurance. And like if I had paid for the whole thing myself, like without her help, I would have had no money to do anything with the van. Like it would have just been this hunk of metal sitting in the driveway because I would be paying over $1,000 a month in yeah, in monthly payments. But anyways, so it was really nice of her to do that. However, we had this problem of like I'm very DIY oriented. I can just figure out anything. Like I taught myself how to code. I taught myself how to start a business as a freelancer, YouTubing, just fixing stuff around the house. Anything I can just figure out how to do it. But my mom is very much like trust the authority figures, like don't do things that you don't have experience for. And so we got into this huge argument about me wanting to cut windows in my van. And it is not that complicated. I know people who have done it with no experience, and it was perfectly fine as long as you know what you're doing ahead of time. You have the right tools and you take your time. But my mom, just like, no matter how I try to convince her, yeah, I just wasn't able to like convince her. So ultimately, what I decided is that when she goes on vacation in August, I'm just going to cut the windows, and then when she comes back, she'll see that everything is fine. And it's sort of like ask forgiveness, not permission type of situation. But anyways, long story short, I went this morning and I picked up the palette with my 3 windows. So I'm going to put 2 windows in the back, and then I'm going to put a big cargo window there. And I'm really excited about it. I really want to be able to like go in there and film, but right now it's too dark. I can put the light on there, but it goes off after a few seconds, or not a few seconds, but a couple minutes, so it's like really annoying. But anyways, another thing that happened that's really good for the van build is that I just like randomly got paid $3,700 from Vivo Barefoot for affiliate sales. And apparently what happened is that I think they had this like 20% sale back in the spring. And like I was looking at my stats, my affiliate stats, and usually it's just like down. I'm earning like maybe $100 a month from Vivo Barefoot if I'm lucky. But then in like March, there's this like freaking massive spike, and I somehow earned like thousands of dollars. I don't even understand it. But anyways, it's really good because I was just struggling to figure out, even with my mom's help on the deposit, like just I'm still not making that much on YouTube. And so like it was a godsend, because now I think it's realistic that I'm going to be able to move into the van full time, not be completely done, but definitely move in by the time the winter comes, which is really important because I just this situation of living home. I've been living here for 7 years, and like I don't think I can take another year of not having my own space. So I'm really happy about it. It's gonna supercharge the van builds and allow me to do things much faster. I think starting probably like August 4th, maybe when I'm gonna film the video of cutting the windows and putting those in. And then also because I have extra money, I'm gonna be able to put the extra two windows in. So I'm gonna have my desk back there, which you probably saw in the van life day one video. And then I'm gonna have the back windows, the cargo window, and then on either side of the van or on either side of the desk in the corner there and there, I'm gonna have two Arctic Tern windows. So they actually fold out and then they have like a pull down screen. So then I'm also gonna put a fan in the ceiling, which I think I'll have enough money for with the Vivo Barefoot money, which is perfect because that's the thing that I most need out of everything is just like light and some ventilation because it is hot as hell in here right now. I'm like sweating like crazy making this video. Um, but I like it hot. It's been really nice to have some place to come where I can feel warm because I am a skinny little beanpole and I get cold very easily. And my mom likes it cold in the house, so it's constantly freezing to me. So I like being sweaty like this. It feels really, really good. Oh man, what else? I feel I've been feeling lately like the world is it's just too much to process. There's just too many crazy things happening right now, and just not even in like world news, but in like my family, just like people getting sick. It just feels like everyone has, I don't know, autoimmune problems, cancer, whatever. I have a relative who's just diagnosed with lymphoma, which is exactly what my grandfather died from, literally in our house. He was living in my bedroom when he was going through chemo. And if you've watched my videos, you know how I feel about the medical system in general. And I don't think the chemo is the way. I think it is the unway. I think it is the way to make yourself even sicker. But that's just my opinion. But anyways, like it's really hard to listen to news of him going into chemo when I feel that is the exact opposite direction that a human being should go. Like, I don't think that if you are in a state of extreme toxicity that the answer to that is to dump more toxic chemicals into your body. That doesn't make any sense to me and it's a very disturbing way of thinking, but that's just a microcosm of like when you start to get into personal development and like natural healing and that sort of thing, is it's really draining to be around people who are like running the same old scripts of like trust the authority figures and like the medical system is never wrong. And yeah, just I don't know, all the news constantly. And yeah, it's really gets draining. And so like having that day, the perfect van life day, actually it was more like 3 days because it kept raining, so I had to split the filming up. But just like, yeah, I spent 3 days and 2 nights in the van. It was so nice just to be able to get away from all of this like insanity. um in the movie The Joker, which is a great movie of Joaquin Phoenix, he there's this really iconic line where he says, "Is it just me or is it getting crazier and crazier out there?" And that was something I was really feeling up to the point where I got to spend a few nights in my van. And then just being able to like have that separation, between myself and this like crazy news cycle and all this like family drama and like everyone's sick and all this bullshit. Just like being able to separate myself from that was so healing. And every time I come back into the van, even if I like when I'm in the house and I feel tired and depressed and stressed out, and then like when I come back in the van, I feel so much better, even when I'm like sweaty. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm getting closer and closer to the dream of being free. You know, we're never completely free because we live in the matrix, we live in the system, and you have to cooperate with the system to some extent. But I don't know. Every time I sort of like diverge from the way that society tells us to live, I always feel so much better, you know? Like when I got my light phone for the first time, that was one of the best moments of my life just because it felt like I had chopped off this absolute hydra, you know? Is like instead of trying to chop off one hydra head at a time, I just like an arrow straight to the hydra's heart, you know, the hydra of phone addiction. And then ever since then, I've had zero problems with phone addiction. And then the Light Phone 3 is coming out in January of 2025, which I'm really excited for. It that like seeing that promo video made me so happy because it's just like I do a lot of product reviews, you know, barefoot shoes mostly, but there are a lot of products that are just like good, you know, like you enjoy them, like they're fine, but then there are products that it's not even like that they're so much better, it's that they're like in another universe. You know what I mean? Like they're just so unique and quirky and just like out of the blue. And that's the way that I felt about the Light Phone 2. That's the way I feel about the Light Phone 3. It's just I don't know. It's the design is so goofy, and it just made me happy to the point where I made this like little cardboard replica of it. That was really fun, you know, and that's something that I've really enjoyed about making product review videos. I think some people look at it and they think, oh, like how boring, you know, like reviewing products. And sometimes it is boring if you don't pick the right products. But when you get something that's interesting and unique, it really does inspire you because you can see how much love, you know, is put into that product by this company that could have just gone for like the generic cash grab. You know, like I made the video about Wise Phone versus Light Phone. And Wise Phone is an example of a company that just doesn't give a fuck. You know, they're only in for the money, and the few philosophical motivations that they do have are like giving parents a creepy amount of control over their children. And, you know, it's just like the kind of product that makes your skin crawl. So, yeah, just knowing that things like the Light Phone exist and barefoot shoes, Vibram Five Fingers, van life, like knowing that those things exist in the world is like seeing little flowers sprouting out of the asphalt. You know, you just look at it and you think, how does this thing even exist? And just seeing that it's possible makes you happy. You know, it gives you the energy and the belief to feel that you can change the world in a positive way, that you can change yourself in a positive way, that you can escape all of the bullshit and the darkness and the stuck linear thinking and yeah, all of that stuff. So anyways, I think that's most of what I have. I think yeah, the $3,700 payment from Vivo was huge, and I'm also going to use it to get back on buying some higher quality food, like super high quality food, and supplements. I just did an HTMA, which is hair tissue mineral analysis. Like, I really want to get back to trying to figure out my joint problems. Like, one of the major problems has just been like money. You know, I start like this supplement regime and then regimen and then I have to stop because I run out of money. It's been really frustrating. It's been like that for the past 2 years, and I can't make any progress on my health because my income is just like, you know, up and down and up and down, and I can't keep it consistent. But I'm finally earning more money, you know, which feels really good. And very soon I'll be able to move into my own space, at which point it'll be even easier for me to be creative. I can just feel it, you know. It's like I've been talking for 25 minutes straight with no script, and I just feel good. I feel like a plant that is getting the sunshine that it needs, that it has desperately needed for a very long time. And so there's just a short amount of time that I have to spend in the same place that I've been, and then things are gonna change for the better. So anyways, I hope that this video was a little sprout out of the asphalt and that it inspires you to be your own sprout in the asphalt. And I'll catch you guys very soon with some new videos for barefoot shoes and van life and lots of other fun stuff. But until then, thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Peace.